Okay, I'm going to start this audio off. And this is entitled Martyrs and Believers Incense. And the incense are prayers. So I'm going to be reading from Psalms, and I'm going to be going through a few pages of the Martyrdom of Polycarp. Okay? Because many believers in the Most High Yah through Christ prayed and yelled out for deliverance from the evil men, and even during that time and as well as today, the establishments and the wicked rulers and the evil spiritual activities and things that they had to suffer. Now we're going to start in Revelations 8. Let's get this over here. Because I think there's a lot of gameplay and people not taking heed to really what's going on today and how serious it is. So we're in Revelation 8, and we're going to read 3 to 6. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. Now we're at 6, Revelation 8 and 6, where it starts to talk about the trumpets. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. Okay. Now, from 8 to 3 to 6, incense is often an illustration of prayer. Okay. And the trumpet judgment is, in just a minute, trumpet judgment is God's response to the prayers of the saints. Okay, from 6 to 10. So let's read that. Revelation 8, 6 to 10. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. And the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all grass was burnt up. And the second angel sounded, as it were a great mountain, burning with fire, was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. I'll make sure I'm in order here. Okay. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of water. Okay. Okay. And that goes into the third trumpet, makes the third of the fresh water bitter, resulting in widespread thirst and death. Wormwood is undrinkable water, was a bitter herb. Yeah. Now let's go back to Revelation 8, 3 to 6. Now we read those scriptures, right? Okay, now the throwing of the censer of the earth to the earth represents the coming judgment of the earth. Christ will use angels to administer the trumpets. The blast of such trumpets symbolizes the execution of God's judgment. Okay. Then let's go to um, the martyrdom of Polycarp. We're going to read through there. Okay, and we're in chapter 1 of Polycarp. That's Polycarp. Martyrdom. And this is considered to be in the Apocrypha. This is in the complete Apocrypha. Right. Chapter 1. We wrote to you, brothers, the story of the martyrs and of the blessed Polycarp, who put an end to the persecution by his martyrdom, as though adding the seal. For one might also say that all that had gone before happened in order that the Lord might show to us from above a martyrdom in accordance with the good news. What is the good news? They come in scripture at the time. For he waited to be portrayed, as also the Lord had done, as just as Christ did, that we too might become his imitators. This is the only imitation a real warrior is supposed to follow. Okay, now during these days and times, if you're going through so much and you understand the oppression and you understand why you're being targeted or disrespected, maybe because of your color or your complexion or your belief, these are the things that I think someone should follow as far as a man. Not thinking of ourselves alone, okay? A lot of people get selfish and believe in reading the word, and they think it's just about themselves, or just, their little group, and it's not about us individually, but also of our neighbors. See, it says our neighbors, friends, family, neighbors. Not just so much a family or community, but different countries. Your neighbor, that's a considered a neighbor as well. For it is the mark of true and steadfast love, not to wish that oneself may be saved alone, but all the brothers also. Okay, let's go to chapter 2. Blessed then and noble are all the martyrdoms which took place according to the will of God. For we must be very careful to assign the power over all to God, to the Most High Yah. Okay? This is where the power that you should be receiving spiritually comes from. Not yourself, not your group. Okay? And I just want to make that clear, for everybody, because, even myself, I had to acknowledge a lot of things over the years by studying it and actually going through several trials and tribulations to understand that. That's where the pride started to get thrown out. Because I had a lot of pride, especially culturally pride. For who would not admire their nobility? See that? Nobility. Mean their greatness, their noble. And patience and love of their master. That's your master. Okay. Yeshua the Christ, the Most High, Jesus Christ, is your master. For some were torn by scorching until the mechanism of their flesh was seen even to the lower veins and arteries, and they endured so that even the bystanders pitied them and mourned. Just as Christ endured the violent attack that he was being he had to endure. That's what the martyrs had to, that followed him as well, had to endure some sort of pain, suffering, slander, harassment, stalking, starvation, maybe, even being to a point where you can see the bone in the body. This is what it's saying. And some even reached such a pitch of nobility, greatness, that none of them groaned or wailed, showing to all of us that at that hour of their torture, the noble martyrs of Christ were absent from the flesh. What does that mean? They dwelled in the spirit. That's where your strength is. Not your physical body, not your muscles, not your weapon, anything else. That's the truth. So if you get anyone that's too busy trying to installing you to get weaponry all the time, or constantly talking about doing this and that, be careful, okay? Make sure you know who your master is. Or rather that the Lord was standing by and talking with them. You hear that? You hear that? That's where your master should be. Your master is the Most High Christ. Christ should be able to, Spirit of Christ should be able to give you that strength and that endurance and that power to overcome what's being done to you. Okay? Giving them the word to, memorize, even scripture, and paying heed to the grace of Christ. They despise worldly tortures by a single hour, purchasing continuous life, and the fire of their cruel torturers had no heat for them, for they set before their eyes an escape from the fire which continues and is never quenched, and with the eyes of their heart they looked up to the good things which are preserved for those who have endured. You hear that? The good things. Eternally. Which neither ear has heard, nor eye have seen, nor has it entered into the heart of man. But it was shown by the Lord to them who were no longer men, but already messengers. I'm going to repeat that again. But it was shown by the Lord to them who were no longer men, but already messengers. And in the same way also those who were condemned to the beast endured terrible torment, being scratched on sharp shells and buffeted with their kinds of various tortures, that if they were possible, the tyrant might bring them to a denial by continuous torture. So, when you're under a tyrant establishment, whatever, the rulers, this is basically what it's talking about. The individual that's committing this act to the messengers, they try to get them to deny their faith. For the devil used many schemes against them. Chapter 3. But thanks be to God, for he had no power over any, for the most noble Germanicus encouraged their fears by the endurance which was in him. And he fought gloriously with the wild beasts. For when the proconsul wished to persuade him and commanded him to have pity on his youth, he violently dragged the beast toward himself, wishing to be released more quickly from their unrighteous and lawless life. So after this, all the crowd, wondering at the nobility of the God-loving and God-fearing people of the, it says, Christians, cried out, "Away with the atheists! Let Party Cap be searched for." All right. Now, let's go to this is when Polycarp was searched out, when he heard the news of them coming for him. Okay. This is part of the endurance of a real believer. The endurance. Let's go to the prayer. Let's go to Psalms. Okay, and this is for everyone that is enduring or going through things. And you're a true believer. Psalms 141. And I'm sure this is where a lot of them prayed for deliverance from evil men. Psalms 41. Lord, I cry unto thee. Make haste unto me. Give ear unto my voice when I cry unto thee. Basically, please listen to me, Lord. I'm going through this. I need your attention. Let my prayer be set forth before thee as incense, and the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Incline not my heart to any evil thing, to practice wicked works with men that work iniquity. So you didn't want to be part of these evil people, part of people just like today. And let me not eat of their dainties. That's DAINTIES. If you're reading it from the KJV version right now. Let the righteous smite me. Let the righteous smite me. It shall be a kindness. And let him reprove me. It shall be an excellent oil which shall not break my head. For yet my prayer also shall be in their calamities. When their judges are overthrown in stony places, they shall hear my words, for they are sweet. Our bones are scattered at the grave's mouth, as when one cutteth and cleaveth wood upon the earth. But in my eyes are unto thee, O God, the Lord. In thee is my trust. Leave not my soul destitute. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins of the workers of iniquity. Okay, snares, traps. Let the wicked fall into their own nest. Whilst that I withal escape. Okay. And stated generally as one of sore temptation, both internal and external. The fact that almost every verse contains the vocabulary of petition added to the urgency of David's request. Thus, he prays for God's attention, for restraint, and for refuge. Okay? So even David yelled out for deliverance and prayed. Okay? Let's go back to the martyrdom of Polycarp. And we're going to give you an example of people of belief, what they had endured. Okay? I'm going to try to give you as much as little, the stems, step by step, just like today, what some people don't understand. There are people that are homeless, had their family harmed, funds taken from them, lied on, allegations, maybe harm to a point of death, or had their family taken out because of their belief, okay, and they had to endure it, or even to a point where the evils wanted to use them for some reason, and they couldn't get a hold of them because they fought against them and denied things. So of course, when you're denying evil, they're going to have you suffer. Polycarp, chapter 5. But the most wonderful Polycarp, when he first heard it, wait a minute. Okay, when he first heard it, was not disturbed, but wished to remain in the city. But the majority persuaded him to go away quietly. See, this is when they started targeting him and following him. Okay? Now imagine what happened at that time is going on today. And he went out quietly to a farm, not far distance from the city, and stayed with a few friends, doing nothing but pray night and day for all, and for the assemblies throughout the world, as was his custom. And while he was praying, he fell into a trance 3 days before he was arrested, and saw the pillow under his head burning with fire, and turned and said to those who were with him, I must be burned alive. Chapter 6. And when the searching for him persisted, he went to another farm, and those who were searching for him came up at once. So obviously, he started to sense that these things was coming, even in his sleep. So I'm gonna read the chapter 6 again. And when the searching for him persisted, he went to another farm, and those who were searching for him came up at once. And when they did not find him, they arrested young slaves, and one of them confessed under torture. So the one that knew Polycarp, the ones that knew him, knew where he was, but they didn't want to tell them, okay? But they tortured him to actually admit. For it was indeed impossible for him to remain hidden, since those who betrayed him were of his own house. This is another example why so many people that go through experiences mention the word trust nobody. Okay? And just like a street term, they would say, I don't trust nobody. But sometimes majority of people don't have no experience of going through anything to even say don't trust nobody. It's just, I think a lot of people think it's some sort of hip hop get down type of talk, but it's not. It's just honest truth and real. Okay, for it was indeed impossible for him to remain hidden, since those who betrayed him were of his own house. And the police captain, who had been eluded, the very name being called Herod, hastened to bring him to the arena, that he might fulfill his appointed lot by becoming a partaker of Christ. While they who betrayed him should undergo the same punishment as Judas. Chapter 7. Let me see. Should I read chapter 7? Let me see. Because I don't want to be too long on this audio here. Okay, here we're going to go up to 7. Taking a slave, then police and cavalry went out on Friday about dinner time with their usual arms, as if they were advancing against a robber. They took their weaponry to go find him. And late in the evening, they came up together against him and found him lying in the upper room. And he might have departed to another place, but would not, saying, "May the will of God be done." So when he heard that they had arrived, he went down and talked with them, while those who were present wondered at his age and courage, and why there was so much haste for the arrest of an old man of such of kind. So he was of age. Some people think it's about age, okay, that you should be at a certain age to follow certain things, as far as our time. Therefore, he ordered food and drink to be set before them at that hour, whatever they should wish. And he asked them to give him an hour to pray without hindrance. To this they assented, and he stood and prayed, thus filled with the grace of God, so that for 2 hours he could not be silent. And those who listened were astounded, and many regretted that they had come up against such a vulnerable old man. Now, now, let's go over a little bit more. Let's go to chapter 9 of Martyrdom of Polycarp. Now, when Polycarp entered into the arena, okay, after they took him to this arena, battlefield, I think it was like our days and time sports arenas, where some people still are not familiar and understand the times that we're in and what kind of place we are in. Now, when Polycarp entered into the arena, there came a voice from heaven. "Be strong, Polycarp, and play the man." And no one saw the speaker, but our friends who were there heard the voice. And next he was brought forward, and there was a great uproar. Uproar of those who heard that Polycarp had been arrested. Therefore, when he was brought forward, the proconsul asked him if he was Polycarp, and when he admitted it, he tried to persuade him to deny it, saying, "Respect your age," and so forth, as they are accustomed to say. "Swear by the genius of Caesar. Convert, say, away with the atheists." But Polycarp, with a stern countenance, looked on all the crowd of the lawless heathen in the arena. So he's looking at everybody around in this arena that's in the crowd, like Philly sports bars, baseball games, and okay, all these people that are supporting this are up top. And waving his hand at them, he groaned and looked up to heaven and said, "Away with the atheists." But when the proconsul pressed him and said, "Take the oath and I'll let you go, revile Christ," Polycarp said, "For 86 years I have been his servant, and he has done me no wrong. And how can I blaspheme my king who saved me?" Now let that meditate a little bit. What can save your internal? If you're going through so much and you grew up on pain, drama, harassment, fighting, everything under the book, anybody from the street know what I'm talking about. Anybody that's went through things as pain as a child, from on down, into the adulthood and are still managing and dealing with it. What can save you internally? Not a therapist. A teacher may give you a little bit of hints of helping yourself. Your family may give you a little bit of hints of helping them yourself. But what is the main source and who is your master that can help you internally? Let's go to chapter 10. It said, but when he persisted again and said, swear by the genius of Caesar. Okay, this is the individuals telling Polycarp this. He answered him, if you vainly suppose that I will swear by the genius of Caesar, as you say, and pretend that you are ignorant of who I am, listen plainly. I am a Christian. And if you wish to learn the doctrine of Christianity, fix a day and listen. The proconsul said, persuade the people. And Polycarp said, I have thought it worthy to give you an account, for we have been taught to render honor to authorities as is suitable. If it does not hurt us to princes and authorities appointed by God, but as for those, I do not count them worthy that a defense should be made to them. Let's go to 11. And the proconsul said, I have wild beasts. I will deliver you to them unless you convert. And he said, call to them then. Basically, call them in. I ain't going nowhere. For conversion from better to worse is not allowed us, but it is good to change from evil to righteous. And again he said to him, I will cause you to be consumed by fire. If you despise the beast unless you convert. But Polycarp said, you threaten with the fire that burns for a time and is quickly quenched, for you do not know the fire awaits the wicked in the judgment to come and a continuous punishment. But why are you waiting? Come, do what you will. Okay? And this is Polycarp talking. Let's go to chapter 12. And with these and many others, he was filled with courage and joy, and his face was full of grace, so that it not only did not fall with trouble at the things said to him, but that the proconsul, on the other hand, was astounded, and sent his herald into the midst of the arena to announce 3 times, Polycarp has confessed that he is a Christian. When this had been said by the herald, herald, all the multitude of heathen and Jews living in Samara, I think it was let me pronounce that right, Smyrna, okay, cried out with uncontrollable wrath and a loud shout, this is the teacher of Asia, the father of the Christians, who destroyer of our gods, who teaches many neither to offer sacrifice nor to worship. And when they said this, they cried out and asked, okay, Philip, no, we're going to Philip the Asiarish, to let loose a lion on Polycarp. Okay, so basically he was telling people to release a lion onto him that was in charge of this arena. But he said he could not legally do this since he had closed the games. Then they found it good to cry out with one mind that he should burn Polycarp alive, for the vision which had appeared to him on his pillow must be fulfilled. When he saw it burning while he was praying, and he turned and said prophetically to those of the faithful who were with him, I must be burned alive. Okay. Now chapter 13 goes and says here these things then happen with such great speed, quicker than it takes to tell. And the crowd came together immediately and prepared wood and bundles from the workshops and baths, and the Jews were extremely zealous, as is their custom, in assisting at this. Now when the fire was ready, he took off all his clothes and loosened his girdle, and also tried to take off his shoes, though he did not do this before, because each of the faithful was always zealous, which of them might the more quickly touch his flesh, for he had been treated with all respect because of his noble life. Even before his martyrdom, therefore, he was immediately fastened to the instruments which had been prepared for the fire. But when they were going to nail him as well, he said, "Leave me thus, for he who gives me power to endure the fire, there goes the endurance, will grant me to remain in the flames unmoved, even without the security you will give by the nails." This is part 1 of Martyrs and Believers and the Incense, because it's going to be pretty long here. I think I'll do a part 2. But the rest of the story is very interesting. And no matter what you're dealing with, you must endure. Even if you're dealing with unjust judges or unjust, situations. Here's a scripture for you. And this is from the NLT. Isaiah 10, 1-4. What sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. They deprive the poor of justice and deny the rights of the needy among my people. They prey on the widows and take advantage of orphans. What would you do when I punish you, when I send disaster upon you from a distant land? To whom will you turn for help? Where will your treasures be safe? You will stumble along as prisoners and lie among the dead, but even the Lord's anger will not be satisfied. His fist is still poised to strike. Yeah. That's a good scripture. Now, and here is the reason why, and this is for closing out. Okay, and like I said, I want to stick to this topic here. For those who are believing and following what the Most High has said to do and Christ has said to do, as far as feeding the homeless and helping people that really need, bless you and us to lead to you. But there's a lot of people that are, there's an attempt to try to arrest the people that are feeding the homeless and doing such and such. Here's a scripture, NLT, Isaiah 58:6. Know this is the kind of fasting I want. Free those who are wrongfully in prison. Lighten the burden of those who work for you. Let the oppressed go free and remove the chains that bind people. Share your food with the hungry and give shelter to the homeless. Give clothes to those who need them and do not hide from relatives who need your help. Then your salvation will come like the dawn and your wounds will quickly heal. All right. So this concludes part 1 of Martyrs and Believers and their Incense. All praise to the Most High Yah through Jesus Christ, Yeshua the King of Kings, and y'all stay blessed out there, stay strong. Trust me, eternally you'll get through it. One.